What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. Welcome to PCP Movie Night. It's the movie of the week show. Think of it as a movie club, whatever. We're in the middle of ActionFest. In fact, this is the penultimate show for ActionFest 2022. We got the grand finale next week. We'll be talking about that. But tonight, it's all about Commando from 1985, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Holy freaking cow. I have not seen this movie in probably like 15 years. I got to get this Blu-ray. I got to put this on a regular rotation. This, along with True Lies, was a nice 1-2 Arnold punch. Speaking of 1-2 punches, it's Jelani Matrix, and I almost did do Robbie Matrix, just so you know. So
yeah. I like you, Robbie.
It's a good bit, bro.
Yeah, dude, I like you. You're a nice guy. That's why I'm gonna kill you last.
You said you were going to kill me last.
I lied.
Good to have you here, Jelani.
Man, good times to be here, man. It's just an awesome movie. Like, I love Schwarzenegger. Like, I just watched this, like, I think sometime later last year. Because I was just like, it's Commando. Why not? He picks up a log at the beginning of the movie. I'm all in. It's all the kick and all the explosions.
The ultimate feat of strength. Once you see that he can pick up that log, it's all over from that point forward. The next panelist is someone I don't think we've had on here. I really hope it hasn't been since Fifth Element, but maybe she can let me know. But it's Jasmine from Geeks Unleashed Station.
What's up, fellas? I think it was Long Kiss Goodnight, so that was after Fifth Element, I believe. So.
I think Fifth Element was after Long Kiss Goodnight, actually.
Oh, wow. Oh, then it's been a while. It's been a while. Happy to be back.
Happy to have you back. Like I always call Jasmine the better half of Geeks Unleashed. Okay, let's be honest. Okay?
I always like to remind Mark of that too.
You know it. Speaking of the better half, how about the better half of YouTube? It's Perry Comics. What is up, my man?
Station. How's it going, everybody?
Station and a pop, boom. You know what I'm saying, man? Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, happy to have you here. We also got Brooks. Brooks is in the house. Brooks is here.
Hey, I was able to find this one.
Yeah, this one is unlike True Lies. Like, apparently the directors don't care if you watch this movie. I don't know.
True Lies better be good. I bought it on eBay, so I'm waiting for it to come in.
Would you buy a DVD of it?
DVD, yeah.
How much you have to pay for that, Perry?
It was like $10.
It's not too bad, but honestly, it's kind of expensive for a DVD, isn't it, man?
Yeah, all right. I mean, like you guys are talking about it so much. I'm like, I want to be able to like watch the review on it. You know, I gotta watch
It's a good movie with a lot of weird stretches, and I think this is a cool movie with a lot of proper stretches, man. So I watched this movie growing up. I remember it, but this movie I feel has been overshadowed by Predator and Terminator, right? Like this movie kind of gets forgotten about, but this was the movie post-Terminator, post-Conan, right? This is after Conan, after Terminator. This was the one where they were like, we can sell a movie by putting Arnold's biceps on a movie poster. This was the one that cemented it. It's probably his highest kill count in all of his movies. Came out the same year, 1985, as Rambo 2. To me, the superior fucking film. I'll be honest with you. Rambo 2 is like the worst of the franchise. Yeah. However, this movie rocks. Now, it's actually co-written at least, by Jeff Loeb. He's credited as Joseph Loeb, but that's the Jeff Loeb that we know from like Batman Long Halloween and things like that, right? Daredevil Yellow, Spider-Man Blue, Dark Victory, Superman for All Seasons. I mean, I could go on and on and on. But so I liked this movie growing up. I remember it, but it did get overshadowed by those other films. I remember watching it in high school, thinking it was all right. And then I remember watching it probably 15, 14 years ago and thinking like, yeah, it's all right. It's all right. But man, I was in the right mindset or something. It was the perfect movie to come off of True Lies with. I enjoyed this movie so much. I had so much fun with movies this week. I had Sorority Babes and the Slime Ball Bolorama starring Linnea Quigley for Dylan's Horror Show. Then I had this one. And it was just a nice 1-2 punch of fun. And this movie is fun. It's not taking itself too seriously. It understands that. It's filled with great one-liners. Arnold gives a decent performance, let's be honest. The villains stand out, even though they ain't got shit on Arnold, because there is not a single moment where you don't think that Commando or Matrix has this shit figured out. You know, there's no moment of danger here where you're like, oh man, he might not make it out of this one. You know, you never get that. But I love the movie. I think it's great. Jelani, what do you think overall?
Bruh, man, this movie, I've loved this movie since I was children. I didn't even see it in theaters. I watched this on HBO too. They played the devil out of some John Matrix, man. He when he walks up, like I said before, he walks up with that log on his shoulder. You know shit's about to go down. Like, it shows that entire montage of his love of his daughter and all that stuff. So you get the impact of what is going on or what the stakes are. And they're real stakes. And it's a real gritty action film. He's like full-blown Schwarzenegger. This is like almost the most Schwarzenegger could be. And, you know, he's a dad. He's a killer. He's an awesome, you know, he's just an awesome, well-rounded dude that just gets put in a situation and gets through it like seamlessly. And I've seen this this is probably my 8th time watching this movie because I mean I love it. Sometimes you can, you know, love action movies a little too much, but it's my favorite time of year. I'm a summer child, and some summer movies, man, they really get me. And this is one of them. This was awesome. This popcorn, kick explosion, action. Nonsense.
It's some major kick explosions in this shit, man.
Yeah, man.
However, that damn car takes a beating. I'll tell you that one, man. It takes a beating, and then if you notice in the movie, it's healed. Yeah, it's like completely healed. And you don't even notice it at first, right? It's really fun. Hell yeah. Jasmine, when we were talking earlier in the month, you said, I was like, I haven't seen this movie in a while, years. And you were like, this was a constant in your household. What's your history with it? What do you think about it on the rewatch?
80s action movies were the things that I grew up on. I watched more of those movies than I did movies for my age group. So I could not relate to my friends, but I could relate to all of my parents' friends because we watched the same kind of stuff.
You'd be like, you're right. I am getting too old for this shit.
Yes, exactly. The only 9-year-old that used to walk around saying that. Yeah, that was me. But like with all of them mostly, but with this one especially, like this was literally like father-daughter time for me and my dad. Like whenever Commando was on, he'd be like, Commando's on! And I'd run downstairs, sit on the couch, and we would literally quote the entire film all the way through. Like that is what we did with this film. So yeah, even to this day, like it's completely random, but like I before we did this, so it was a few months ago, like I called my dad up and I was like, I don't need a gun to kill you. And he was like, oh my God, are you watching Commando? And I was like, yeah, I am.
Nice.
Yeah, it got so many fun moments in it, right? That really stick out. Like they knew what they were doing with this movie. Like it's intentionally comedic. And I like with True Lies last week, you know, it had a pacing issue. This one, it doesn't have a pacing issue at all. If anything, maybe it's too quick. You know, it's almost like, I think I was watching Oliver Harper's video about it, and he said it's almost like we're missing the first act, right? Like we don't know anything about why Arnold's a single dad, what happened to Alyssa Milano's mother. but it does. That's not what this movie's trying to focus on. It's not a character piece, or is it? Maybe we'll get into
this is a rough draft of Taken. That's what this film is.
Yeah, basically it is.
Yeah.
Speaking of a rough draft of Taken, the rough draft of the rough draft of Taken 2 is never mind. Perry, what's up, man? What'd you think of this movie? First time watching for
First
Perry.
time, yes. As a 29-year-old in 2022, my idea of this movie Commando was it's okay. You know, like it didn't. I guess everybody has like nostalgia for it, you know, and I probably would have if I watched it as a kid. But it was just like okay, you know, like I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it was missing a first act. Like I didn't feel attached. Like the movie just started off like coming out the bushes with a gun, and it was just like after that point, it was just a roller coaster, which was
Movie's
cool.
a fucking Contra, man. This movie's just a video game. It's like World 1. It's like here's your paragraph of text, and now it's level 1.
Yeah, I get that, and it was cool watching it, but I didn't feel anything. Like I didn't care if the girl died or not. You know,
Damn.
You know, I really didn't.
I get it, but on Cinemassacre they said this is less a movie or less a story and more of like Arnold Schwarzenegger's like portfolio, like his demo reel.
Yeah.
Like here's all the different things that I can do. I can lift a log, I can spray gunfire.
Yeah.
No, I mean it looked cool. I like the action. It was cool. It's just like as a movie story wise, it just I didn't feel like it pulled me in at all. Like I was looking at my phone a couple times watching it. Like it didn't just keep me in there, but it was entertaining. It was fun to watch. A lot of explosions. I really liked like they must have had like multiple helicopter shots. I thought I love seeing like the big landscapes like that. Like that really I love seeing that in movies. You know, so and the explosions look great. So I mean it was a cool movie, you know. I don't know if I'll rewatch it, maybe one day.
I think you may like to I mean, I don't know, you know,
but
if you got some homies, bring them in, you know,
yeah,
smoke some, drink some, whatever you got to do, some, you know, and enjoy it. But I mean, I get what you're saying, right? This is a movie, especially watching for the first time.
It's not for everybody,
and it does get swell. It's not as good as Terminator or Predator or anything like that, but it's like a stepping stone, right? Yeah. It's directed by Mark L. Lester, who is most famous for doing Firestarter and Class of '84. So. I mean, it's slim pickings there.
But you know who the first choice for director was? It was John McTiernan. And McTiernan
that would have been awesome too.
So McTiernan, but you know, McTiernan obviously got his Arnold film with Predator. But yeah, McTiernan was their first choice, and he said, "Nah, man, I'm good."
let me see how this one pans out. Then I'm going to perfect it.
Yeah,
like a few years down the road.
That's what he did.
What about you, Brooks, man? What this was your first time watching, which surprises me. But what did you think about it?
Yeah, it's surprising because like. When I was a kid, Arnold was like my guy. Like as far as action stars, like Schwarzenegger was always my favorite. And so it's like I'm always surprised at these movies of his that I haven't seen. Like I hadn't seen Predator when I was a kid for like the longest time either. And this is one like I was like, one day I always meant to get around to watching it, and I like it a lot. I mean, it's a very basic action movie, but Arnold kind of like carries it, you know. I think Arnold has like a kind of charisma, you know. He has like a kind of sense of humor about himself, you know, that a lot of action stars lack, you know, and it makes him more relatable. And this movie, he doesn't have that so much, you know. He's more straight up action. It's very more serious, but he does have those little moments of like, you know, of comedy and stuff, especially when he's traveling with his kidnap victim. Who's driving him around?
She's only a kidnap victim for like the first act, and then she's like in on it. She's like, I
launcher. She's all in.
Yeah, she's totally all in. Now, Fable, I just want to let you know that today's the first time I ever found out there were Commando action figures.
Wow.
Yeah, had no idea.
Some of them are pretty freaking cool, so I definitely have to check those out. Now, this movie is carried by Arnold, like Brooks said. However, there's other cast members too, but we're going to leave it all open for everybody and throw it to Jelani first. What's a character / performance you want to highlight, my friend?
Well, I'm going to go with Bill Duke as Cookie.
Are you serious? First person steals my goddamn answer, man. All right,
dude is awesome. I love the fact that he has.
I'm a Green Beret, motherfucker.
He gets his ass kicked immediately.
I ate Green Berets for lunch.
He was so clean. I loved how he killed the guy with the car.
Oh yeah.
It was just like, oh, so good times.
You know what I guess? The price.
The price. Bam. And it's just like that's the cleanest kill. Plus, you get a car out of it. So it's like, oh yeah,
right? That stabs the scorpion.
Yeah.
That's what
he's the guy that stabs the scorpion. He's the one that
He's the one that wants to have him for fun.
Yeah, and he has the awesome Cadillac. At the end, I mean, I love his car. He won't be needing it. It's just, I love that whole fight in the hotel. It's just everything about his character was just so monotone and just like there. And he's a perfect villain in this role. And Bill Duke plays a great character anyway. He was a great Predator. He's great in this.
He's the director of Sister Act 2, everybody. Just so
really? I had no idea. Oh. Yeah. But he's a great actor in general. So I love his character, and he stands out so much. I love his suit. That damn 80s suit. I don't know, that suit was so 80s. And I was just like, oh, nobody wears that much light blue. It's just too much. So,
he had to match his powder blue Cadillac, man. Come on.
Yeah, he was matching. It was clean. So I love his outfit. I love everything about him. Love his character. That's who I like to highlight.
That's a good pick, man.
Yeah.
That's such a good pick. I that was my pick, but now I got to think. You know, we're on our toes. That's why the rundown says pick a few others in case someone chooses yours. Jasmine, who's somebody you want to highlight?
I got to give it to Alyssa Milano. She's like 6 or 7. She's like a 6 or 7-year-old, and she like walks out of the house up to this 4-star general and is like, "Yo, what's up? What do you need to talk to my dad about?" And then after she gets kidnapped and Dan Hidea's character is all like, "Your dad's going to cooperate. It'll be fine." And she's like, "Not as cool as when he kicks your face in." Or that's not what she says exactly. But I'm like, hold up. This little girl just runs her mouth to any and everybody. And I really kind of love it. So I love that she was not just a damsel in distress. Like, she actually talked shit and like got herself out of some sticky situations. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, and even as a child actor, she's able to carry the emotional, distraught nature of the despair of the situation. Mm-hmm. But she does kind of have that smart-ass, kind of quippy nature too, which becomes a trope. That's something that's important about Commando, is that a lot of action tropes, they kind of get coalesced and defined here, right? Like when you talk about slasher films and you're thinking about things like, you know, Black Christmas, Diabolique, even Halloween, but then it's like Halloween, Friday 13th, they start cementing that idea. This is starting to cement the idea of what the 80s action film is going to be, which last week we talked about how True Lies was kind of like the last hurrah of that kind of movie, you know? So really good pick there. What about you, Perry? Speaking of sticky situations, what's the character you want to highlight?
I didn't even know that was Alyssa Milano, so you just blew my mind. Like, that's so freaking cool, dude. You know? I'm gonna have to go with Arnold Matrix, right? That was his name, Matrix. Cool name, by the way.
Yeah,
I liked so much about his character that when everything first started happening and they first kidnapped the girl, the guy's like, "Listen, so this is what's gonna happen," and he's like, "No," and just shoots him in the head. Like, I'm not playing your games. Like, I'm getting my daughter back, and I'm doing whatever it is it's gonna do. Like, and there's no back and forth. There's no discussion. I'm doing it, and it's like that's such like a manly thing to do. That's like, that doesn't exist anymore, you know, like that fuck off, you know, pardon my French, you know, but just go-getters, you know, like I really enjoyed that. I felt like that was my favorite part, you know, like the way he carried himself, you know, like he's in the car and she's freaking out next to him. He's like, no.
Yeah, she's like, are you going to tell me what this is all about? No.
You know, like I was like, what? And she just looked at him like, okay, you know.
But what's crazy is to see the flip of the switch, because in the opening of the movie, that cheesy ass 80s sitcom montage we get where Alyssa Milano's like shoving fucking ice cream in his face and he's just like laughing and shit, you know, like this is a reel, this is a demo reel, this is like, I can do comedy, I can kill people, right? Like it's like that kind of a thing. But this looks like,
I can carry the tree as
well. Replace him with Tony Danza. It's the opening of Who's the Fucking Boss, like, you know what I'm saying? But it shows like he flips that fucking switch, bro, like instantaneously. Yeah, but he's smart enough to know that his daughter's the one sneaking up on him, because this movie could have started bad if he would have just axed the shit out of her. And
he could smell. Because there's a downwind. He could smell everything.
Yeah,
right? He could smell his daughter coming, you know. But
You kidder. Let's get ice cream and then eat. What about that bit with the fucking sandwich? What's in the sandwich? Oh, you don't want me to tell you. What the fuck does that mean? He just eats it? Like, what is it?
It's like, whatever.
Soylent Green?
Poison in the sandwich again.
What the fuck is? And if you notice, they're eating sandwiches, strawberries. I was noticing. I was like, what are they eating? I was like, it's some kind of. I don't know what's in the sandwich, but it looks.
It was sprouts.
What's what?
Sprouts. That's what was in the
Bean
sandwich.
sprouts.
No, well,
okay.
not like bean. More. I don't really know what else to call them, but
Like alfalfa sprouts.
yeah, alfalfa. There we go. Yeah.
I love alfalfa sprouts actually, but they're eating like I don't know, like on his plate there's like some sliced tomato, a couple of olives, and some strawberries, and I'm like, damn, bro, the Mediterranean diet, hell yeah, man, go for it. Brooks, what's the character you want to highlight?
Well, I really like the sidekick character, or I guess the female lead.
Tommy Chong's daughter. What's her name? It's
Ray Don Chong.
yeah,
Ray Don Chong, son.
Ray Don Chong. She was hot at that time, man.
She was unfortunately in Soul Man.
Are we gonna have to cover that? We've mentioned that almost every other week, man.
Let's not say we should.
I think we should. I don't know, man. That'd be an interesting historical artifact to uncover in a time capsule.
I remember it well. I saw it in the theater, and I was like,
I'd rather do Mannequin.
To see this.
I'd rather do
Mannequin would be better.
Mannequin double feature 1 and 2, man.
We'll
Anyway,
do
Brooks, what
Mannequin.
you were saying? Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, like she's got. I like her art because, like, she's just a regular, working gal, like getting hit on by this douchebag, and goes out to her car, and then all of a sudden this like hulking muscle man just tears out one of her car seats, which is for some reason like in some shots, it'll be him hunkered down, and then in other shots, like he's sitting in a regular car seat.
Yeah.
So
No
like,
consistency.
did he rip out the seat and then he's just like sitting up on purpose? But yeah, it's like,
What was the point if
it's
you're
so
just
funny
going to
just
be
how
up
she
there?
reacts to everything. Because she's the everyman character, like who's just like caught up in this like bizarre thing that's going on. And like at first, I think what she did in the beginning, that was like a solid, logical thing to do. It was like, hey, there's this crazy muscle dude that's kidnapped me basically. But she does, when she finds out, that the dudes that he's, I guess, chasing her are the bad guys, she's all in. Though by the end of the movie, I'm like, why is he still like bringing her along? Like at this point, she's just like a potential hostage, or like So I understand in the beginning because like he needs her to like get from point A to point B, but then she's like, oh, I'm coming with you, and he's like, okay, you can come with me.
Come on, nobody turns down helping.
Arnold, Arnold, really? Disappointing.
Biceps.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
And the government would owe me a car. They'd owe me a car and like.
I think that's why she's
compensation.
sticking around.
And,
She's like, I got to see this through so I get my car replaced.
I love the bit when she gets the rocket launcher and she shoots it the wrong way.
Yeah, that's a good bit, man. That's a real good bit. All right, looking at the characters, I am going to go with David Patrick Kelly as Sully. He is the one, I think that Bobby was the one mentioning it earlier did in the Warriors, right? Warriors come out of play. Yeah. He's great. He's the one that gets let go with the whole I lied and all that shit. Like he's actually really good in the fucking movie, and he's sleazy, and like when he's hitting up Chong and he's like talking, he's like fucking whore. Like, what, bro? Calm down, man. You're the one harassing her, man.
Yeah, I know he's a bad guy, dude.
Yeah, you got to know he's a bad guy. If you couldn't tell by that fucking
dude.
shitty ass suit, man. Anyway, he's a cool character, but Vernon Wells as Captain Bennett. I want to break this character down. He seems like a dude who used to play football. He's like an Al Bundy type character. He used to play football. He was a quarterback. His glory days are far behind him. He drinks like a 6-pack or more a night. He's on the couch and he really is into Queen. Like that's what I'm getting from this dude. Not necessarily who I would think of being the antithesis of Arnold Schwarzenegger's John Matrix in this film, but he's goddamn committed to that bit, man. And there's a fan theory that he's in love.
Oh, 100%. 100%. He is freaking obsessed with Matrix.
Yep.
He definitely wants to bang John Matrix.
Yeah, and there's a shit where I don't need no gun. But before that, he's like doing this weird lip quiver thing. And we know what that lip quiver means, man.
The whole reason he went off the deep end was because he kicked him out of the group.
That's right.
I'm still trying to figure out how an Australian got mixed up with the American Special Forces, but that's a whole different thing. But whatever. He was mad. He got kicked out of the group, and he wanted his vengeance because he lost the love of his life.
There you go. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, motivationally speaking. All right, let's talk about style and structure of this film. I think it's incredibly well paced. It doesn't waste any fucking time. Like Perry was even saying, maybe to the detriment of the story. It doesn't waste any fucking time. It doesn't ever lull. It always has these nice, quippy fucking one-liners. This is the prototype for Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, this is the prototype. This is the kind of movies they make with a little bit more cliche storytelling. I don't know, but I do like it. The story is paper thin, but it is a showcase for the action sequences, which it just kicks off and it never lets up. I really like this pace. I love the cinematography in certain spots, the colors, the red and the greens, and they're using colors. See, there was a moment in the 80s, that's all people did was they utilized colors for atmosphere and cinematography, right? And then we lose that in the 90s, and we're starting to get back to that. But you got to use that in the right way. And for me, I really like the style and structure of this film, even though the story is very weak. What about you, Jelani? Style, structure, what you got?
I mean, it's a breakneck pace movie. You're supposed to be. It's an action film. You're not really supposed to have a story. You're supposed to have good guy, bad guy, explosion.
Yes.
It's all it is. It's all it's ever going to be. Sit down and enjoy the ride. And you get in, and it's got the time clock aspect, which is a huge trope now. Where, the ticking clock, you have 11 hours before she's killed. The fact that they don't use telephones until the absolute, you have to sit beside the telephone and wait for things to happen. I love how 80s this movie is. It's so much 80s. And I love the mall setup. I love that entire
the mall
fight.
scene is amazing, bro.
I love all of it. And it's just like from beginning to end of that, I'm like, yeah, this reminds me of the horse thing in True Lies. It's just what Mike would call that big jump fun, but longer thing, the Splendor thing.
Gigantic
whatever.
Moronic Splendor. By the way, Horny Time Horseshoe shirt's coming very soon.
Yes!
The logo's finalized.
Yes! Double XL. It's a great, action popcorn flick. This is all this is. That's all it's supposed to be. It's America at its finest. It's like, how do you get an East German and an Australian? That's a good question. On a special forces unit that does special missions all over the world for
and how
America.
many has Arnold done where his character's name was John?
Right. Don't know.
At least 5.
I'm pretty sure it was
His name was John in Predator, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was in Predator. John. Oh God, it was John. Wow. It's too many similarities to the movie. But I think John Matrix would have done a lot better job in killing the Predator.
Now, I want to ask y'all a question, because it's got that badass scene where he's gearing up and it's and with tons of Batman films and shit have done that.
Yeah.
Is that the first movie that does that? Because it's one of the first times I can think of it. Now, maybe I'm sure there's something before, maybe, but it's one of the first times I remember of the montage of putting the gear on, getting the costume on, and no reason for him to go this goddamn ham, by the way, do all this camouflage, but he's out in this fucking yard.
Yeah,
He's better than the camo stripes on his face and shit. Then later on, he takes his shirt off and he has camo stripes going across his chest too.
Yeah. This is goddamn Demolition Warriors, man. This is some wrestling shit. He's painting up, getting ready. He's Ultimate Warrior, man.
I'm surprised he waited to get dressed, because he was in a Speedo rowing the boat in the ocean with the sun. You would have got a sunburn all over your body before you put anything on. Why wouldn't you just cover up? I guess what you were saying, he's just showcasing his body.
Yeah.
That was my question though, when that scene happened, and it was just who was this marketed for? Because I'm sure Speedo sales didn't go up in the 80s because of this. This is not how special forces operate. And you will notice that this never, ever, ever happens in action movies these days. The only time you ever see a dude in his underwear in the water is a James Bond film. That's it. That does not happen in American action hero stuff anymore.
Hey, man, male action stars can be sexy too. We can't let the women have all of the sexy. Come on. I'm just saying,
I definitely vote more Speedos and camo paint and, That's fine with me.
I want all my movies to be sexy across genders. Anyway, Jasmine, what do you think about the style and structure of this film?
This is one of those films where when you are ready to watch it, you take your brain, you put it in a different room, you sit on the couch, and that is how you enjoy this film. It is not a think piece. It is not a conversation starter. It is a keep the remote in your hand and rewind it because you want to see how that guy died 2 more times so that you can laugh about it and then keep watching the movie. Like the guy
what Bobby's saying
with the machete.
Yeah, or what Bobby's saying when he cuts the dude's head off with the fucking saw.
Yeah, with the saw. Come on. But like you don't watch these movies to sit there and say, well, this was a really well constructed action scene. No, you don't do that. You watch this movie because you really want to sit there and freak out with somebody like, did you see that? That was crazy. So I loved it because they don't make movies like this anymore. They can't make movies like this anymore. Like the audience does not tolerate that kind of stuff the same way that they used to. But one of the reasons that my dad loved it so much, because my dad has the attention span of like a fly. So he always liked the movies where it's like less dialogue, no plot, and just people dying. And so this is the perfect kind of film for that, where it's like, I don't care about him and his daughter, and I don't care about his past as in the military. Like, I want to know how many guns he can fit on one shoulder, how can he kill all these guys and never run out of ammo. Like, how many other people are going to blow up in this building explode? Like, that's the kind of stuff that I want to see when I'm watching this movie. I don't want to think about anything else. I don't want to think about this fictional country of Valverde and being dictators being deposed and all that stuff. Like, I want to see people get blown up. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, it's so that we're 10 years after Jaws, which is kind of like the first big blockbuster, right? At this point, 1985, people going to the cinema with their families or by themselves for date nights. It's starting to hit a height. We're moving out of the drive-in phase and into like going into multiplexes, right? Mm-hmm. Like the mall era, right? That's why there's a mall scene in this movie. I guarantee it, because most people are watching the movie at a mall, So like it's right there, and it knows what it's trying to do. And this was a moment where they're like, people are going to the theater not for a deep fucking story. We're not trying to be Citizen Kane. We're not Casablanca. We're not telling a love story here. We're just goddamn shit exploding and people dying. And I love it. What about you, Perry? What do you think about the style and structure of the film?
I did enjoy that it was very quick. Like a lot of stuff like happening nonstop, action, it was great. I think that's like the action scenes in this is like what you define as style, because it was very stylized the way they were doing things. For instance, when he was in the gardening shed and they opened the door and he dropped down, that's Leon the Professional 10 years later, so it's like you can see, like, I was watching this, I was like, wow, that's really cool, because that's my favorite scene in Leon the Professional. And like you get to see how they're pulling from stuff from that was like I don't know, like that stuff, like how you said he was putting things on, is that the first time that's ever been done, and it's like, I guess movies like this that don't have the story or a plot like that can experiment and do things out of the ordinary that are just wild and fun and chaotic that could be used later on for like a masterpiece like Leon, so I thought it was really cool, very stylized. Structure, like I said in the beginning act, if it was maybe like 10 minutes extra in the beginning just to get a little bit of more in, like, when I see a movie I need to like sink in, like I need to, like, I watch a movie and I need to just like encompass my entire thought process in what's going on. That's what makes a good movie for me. Like if I'm gonna watch craziness, I'll just watch like TikTok or something.
Now, one thing, if they remade this movie today, it would be like 30, 40, maybe even an hour longer, and it would be perpetuated with scenes where he like finds something to remind him of his dead wife or something, and then when they would flash back, and like it'd be Gerald Butler because he's always the dead person and like the dead husband in the movie or whatever.
Oh God, yes.
The dead wife cut of Commando.
Yeah. There is an extended cut, like a director's cut. It's like a minute longer, but apparently it's got more like gore. Like it gets more into it. And I was like, well, that's the one I need to watch. I don't know if I may have watched that one. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Dude, when he cut the guy's arm off and went straight through the bone, coolest thing I've ever seen, dude. Like,
this knife will cut through it like butter. Like warm butter. Well, so will your fucking arm, homie. Holy shit, dude.
Goodbye.
They said that originally that scene, he was supposed to then pick that arm up and hit the guy with it. And then they said, maybe that's a step
Little
too
too
far.
much.
So
No. I think if they would have done that, Perry would have loved this movie.
that would be amazing if they had done that. Come on,
Absolutely.
come on.
Brooks, what do you think about the style and structure, my man?
Well, I mean, it's a good, like I said, it's a very basic kind of action movie formula, but like the basis of Arnold does violence real good is really what carries it. It keeps the action going, which is like all you really need for this movie. Like just keep Arnold moving, have Arnold, doing one thing or another. Arnold does more violence. Yay, go Arnold! Like it works really good for action, and like this is like the kind of thing that could easily become like boring or tedious, if done wrong. But I think they hit the sweet spot with this movie where they had the right actor, they had a script that's not too thinky, just basically like badass dude goes around, does violence, gets his kid back, the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's like as far as action movies go, like it's about as good as you can get, style and structure wise.
Well, originally the first writer before Jeff Loeb came on, the first writer wrote this film for Nick Nolte.
I don't see it.
A way different film.
It would have been way different. It would have. The premise was if it had been Nick Nolte, it would have been he's old, he's out of shape, he's retired, and then they kidnap his daughter, and then he gets back into it. And I was like, that is Taken. So someone wrote Taken back in the 80s and didn't get picked up, and then they were like, yo man, call Liam Neeson.
Didn't Lester do 48 Hours? There's a piece of me that thinks that the same director did 48 Hours. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. Somebody look that up for me. Because what I'm looking up right now is the composer, James Horner. I'm actually a fan of James Horner. He did the score for Star Trek Wrath of Khan, as well as Search for Spock. But he also did Aliens, The Rocketeer, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, The Amazing Spider-Man, A Beautiful Mind, Deep Impact, Braveheart, and, y'all ready for this? Field of Dreams. But y'all ready for this? He did the highest grossing film score of all time. Can you guess what it is? It's Titanic.
Wow.
Titanic.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
I love the score in this film. It's got this like 80s synth cheesy like electronic drumming kind of
Steel drums.
Yeah, a lot of steel drums in this fucking movie, man. Maybe too many, okay? Let's be honest. But the way it kind of takes that driving 80s synth drum and the cliche action movie cues and shit. I actually like it. It works well on its own, and that cheesy ass song at the end is top notch cheese for me. Jelani, what do you think about the music in the film?
I agree, 100%. It's like it's typical 80s, like just cool music at the end. You get that, the steel. There's a lot of steel drum, and it's just that. I'm like, oh yeah, too much reggae, but it's or island-ish. But I guess it goes with like the area they were in and all that stuff. And it's intrigue or whatever that fake country he was from.
God,
it's such a mess. I was like, yeah, this it's the theme of it, and it's 80s, and it's like during the Contra and all that craziness. Yeah, this is the theme. Yeah. So that music is like of its time. It's perfect. Yeah. It just goes well with it. It's fast paced. You're listening to it while you're watching the explosions. It's worth it. And that's it.
Nice. 48 Hours is directed by Walter Hill. I don't know why.
I don't know where that came from.
It's produced by Joel Silver. That's the thing. It was the same producer. That makes sense with the Nick Nolte thing.
From the producers of.
Yeah, from the producers of 48 Hours comes Commando. Anyway, Jasmine, what do you think about the music?
I think it just kind of pulls you along. It is like, I would say quintessential 80s music. It's very generic, nondescript, but like it works really well. So it doesn't distract you. It doesn't take away from it. Like sometimes you get those 80s films like Top Gun. Like Top Gun has some amazing music that actually fits the scenes and it really kind of pulls you in emotionally. Whereas this one is just like, you did the do just right for that mall sequence there. So like it doesn't take away from the film, but it just kind of pulls you right along with it.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'm trying to find what the fuck, A We Fight for Love by The Power Station. Holy shit. That's
The
the
power.
cheesy thing. And I agree with Jasmine. It's no blood sport, But speaking of blood sport, Perry was at Kumite earlier this summer. That's why he took a little brief hiatus from comic book YouTube content. But Perry, what do you think about the music?
I haven't seen Bloodsport yet.
Bro, you gotta watch
dude,
Bloodsport.
I know.
gotta watch
I've been
Bloodsport.
slacking.
Come on.
Man,
Oh,
get
Have you
on the
seen any
train.
from the 80s? We got to get you up to date.
I was born in '93. I'm trying.
Okay. I mean, that's. I'm not going to accept that as an answer.
Perry, I just want to say that
Frank,
I
dude.
That's when Star Wars came out, okay? And we all know about Star Wars, so that's unacceptable.
Perry,
I'm
I just want to
so
say I think
behind.
you're doing a great job, and I appreciate you and what you do. But Bloodsport needs to be at the top of your fucking list.
All right, I'll watch it tomorrow. Okay.
It's
I'll
Jean-Claude
make sure.
Van Damme at his finest. Based on a maybe true story. Maybe.
Yeah, research the true story
Yeah, the true
behind.
story.
Bro, there's a lot to it,
It's
so
awesome,
research it, man. Like it's good shit.
All right. Let's see the music in this. I'm gonna third. It didn't take away. It kind of just felt like it fit. It complemented all the action scenes that was going on. Yeah, I thought it was cool. I like
Makes
it.
a lot. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. That's
Yeah.
It's a fair and balanced way of viewing it.
As all things should be.
Brooks, what about
Right?
you? What did you think about the music, Brooks?
I thought the music, it was good. It was much like the plot, very basic, but it fit the movie. Like there would be a lot of pan flutes, which is kind of like what you expect in like ninja movies and stuff, to let you know that he's a stealth expert. And it had of course, the saxophone, always the saxophone.
Yeah, it does have
Every
the
action movie.
It's got the saxophone pre fucking Lethal Weapon, but it doesn't have the
Yeah.
Eric Clapton guitar to go with it, man.
And while I know like there are other people who play the saxophone than the guy from Lost Boys, every time I hear a saxophone, I imagine that guy playing it for some reason.
Yeah. You should.
Kenny
As
G
long
plays the
as-
saxophone,
like I was
bro.
saying, steel drums.
Kenny
Steel
G
drums
plays
with like island flavor, like Thunder in Paradise or some shit. Which it was kind of confusing. I'm like, why are they like going so hard on the steel drums on this one? But then I was like, yeah, I guess it is kind of like he's got like a Colombian drug lord villain or something.
Well,
you know?
that's a James Horner thing from that era too. Like like if you
The
look at his
80s.
earlier work, like before, like Aliens is really good, but even Aliens uses certain cues from this film. James Horner used to like copy and paste a lot of shit. Apparently, most of my information on that is coming from Oliver Harper.
Can you imagine the aliens cut with like steel drums in the soundtrack?
Let's do it. Let's see that cut, man. That's the Argento cut, bro. It's really spooky.
Goblin
All
on
right.
the steel drums.
A lot more goblin than I expected. Yeah.
This is a simple story told in a complex way, but is there a theme to pull out of it? Jelani, what's this movie speaking to you?
Don't mess with John Matrix's daughter, or you will die horribly. If you tell anyone you have 11 hours before you need to do something, oh man, don't give it to John Matrix because he'll kill you. I mean, seriously, man is focused only on one thing, and he does it so well. Like it's the theme of the movie for me that love can conquer all. Basically, the love of his daughter is basically what got him through. To damn near never getting wounded or hurt or grabbed or God, he's a Gary Stu. It's perfect. He is unstoppable, but he's an unstoppable killing machine who's a great dad. And it's like, that love and like doing what they did to him, really set him on this journey, and he does it in such a great way. I was never worried for him in any moment. Not ever. He was just fantastic. So yeah, it's the power of love. That's what I'll give
Future
it.
brother.
I know. It's
Hell
the
yeah.
80s.
Yeah, you're right though. He didn't ever earn his power in this movie. We just had to accept that he
He's
was
already
badass.
there.
above 9,000.
He's a man.
Very unbelievable.
Man,
Just
man.
because he's a man, he's fucking badass. Anyway, so Jasmine, what did you think about the theme? Is this movie speaking anything to you?
Oh yeah, the theme is you never get out, ever. It doesn't matter
Oh,
how much service you put in. It doesn't matter how much paperwork you fill out. You are never, ever out. And that theme is like the quintessential action movie theme to me. I mean, look at John Wick. John Wick told those people, like, I'm done. I got a wife. We got stuff going on. And they were like, but do you? Do you really? Because that might not be true. So that to me, this is one of the ones that kind of sets up the whole you're never done. And when I call you, you better be available regardless of whatever you have going on.
Yeah. It's even cemented at the end with the colonel or whatever is like, until next time. He's like, this was the last time. He's like, until the next time.
Until next time. Yeah.
Exactly. Perry, what's this movie speaking to you, my man?
Be a man. It just felt like working out after watching this guy, dude. This guy's ripped as hell, dude. He was just, I don't know. He just had like this really cool, manly swagger to him, I kind of like that. I want to watch some more Arnold movies after seeing this, like when he threw the pipe through the guy's chest. Dude, the force?
How have we not mentioned that until then, man?
Like, bro, blow off some steam. What did he say? It's like, come on, dude. That was so cool.
The steam's coming out of the fucking pipe, too. So it's like into him, into the fucking pipe behind him. And it's just like, bruh.
That went through his whole body. Like,
that's some Jason Voorhees shit, man. Like, what's the difference between Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees in the 80s and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Rambo? Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. It's the same goddamn concept, man. Really good stuff, man.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of being a man, Brooks, what's this movie speaking to you?
Well, I think this movie's about karma more than anything. It's like, John Matrix is like an unstoppable force, but like, the reason he's, set on this path is because of like these, like this guy who just can't let go of the power. Like, he lost his power, he's been deposed, but now he thinks he's going to like, take this guy who helped to bring him down and like use him to put it to build himself back up. But really he's just bringing about his own destruction. He's like, he set the wheels in motion for his own defeat by, basically unleashing this karmic force that is unstoppable and can't be bargained with and is just like, of a singular purpose. Like,
almost like a permanent.
Now you're going to pay the consequences for doing the thing. So like John Matrix to me is like the personification of karma. That's why he's so unstoppable. That's why, he's such a badass, is because, he just is.
Man, look at Brooks reaching deep there, man. I like that, man. For me, this movie is it's like Fast and Furious. This movie's about family. Right? That's what it is. It's about family. It's about the love of family, the love of protecting what you have, your most prized possession. That could be your daughter, it could be your son, it could be your pet, it could be your cat, your dog, it could be your wife, it could be your husband, it could be your partner, it could be your goddamn VHS collection. It could be anything, but your prize collection, your family. And here's the thing. Family goes beyond blood because Tommy Chong's daughter in this film, what's her name again?
Ray Don Chong.
Yeah.
Ray Don.
Arnold, she shouldn't have any reason to care about Arnold or his daughter in this film, Matrix or his daughter. She does. We create family. Family's not just blood. Sometimes it goes across all kinds of boundaries, but when people need help, you help them out. And if you got a community, you support that community. You get what I'm saying? You dig? Anyway, that's what I think. It's about family. And family is all of us.
I like the idea of if there ever had been a sequel that they all stay together. Alyssa Milano eventually decides, I want to be a pilot just like Cindy. And then she goes into the military against her father's better wishes. And then she becomes like this badass rogue, like freedom fighter pilot, helicopter pilot in some third world country.
I'm going to tell you something. What if they did a sequel today, ignoring all the other Commando sequels that never happened? And it's like a real-time sequel, right? Arnold's retired. Alyssa Milano's like this badass, like Jennifer Blood type fucking persona. Like, that would be cool. Alyssa Milano, where you at? We'd love to see you in an action film. Come on. That's what we need, more badass chicks in action films.
This is true.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, time to rate the film. You out there in the chat, out of 5 possible, you digs, what do you give Commando from 1985? And Jelani, why don't you kick us off, my friend?
I got nostalgia goggles, man. It's 5. It was gonna be a 5 the second you
Jesus
said
Christ,
Commando.
bro. 5, okay.
I love this movie. It's hot cheese. I can watch it anytime I want. It's like, I don't know what it is about an action film that gets me like this. Like all the Lethal Weapon films, I can watch, not 4, But all the others, I can just still watch. And
Bobby's got a point right here, y'all. By the way, look at that.
Yeah, probably. He got remarried. Elijah Dushku is Alyssa Milano.
Yeah, that could work. But I think
Yeah.
Eliza Dushku's character would be a little bit more BA in that film if it was Alyssa Milano's character.
So oh yeah, she was just on a Harrier jet for a while. That's all. No big deal. Alyssa Milano didn't do that. She's escaped.
So
from the
5
building.
you digs, man.
But
Holy
5 nostalgia, man. It's like Masters of the Universe. Something about when I was a kid and saw this movie. It was just like, oh, and it's been like that ever since. So I'm sorry, you asked the wrong person to do this.
No, that's fine, man. It's fine.
5, baby.
All right, 5
5,
you digs.
baby.
5 you digs from Jelani. What about you, Jasmine? What do you rate this film?
I gotta go. I'm going 4 you digs on this one because a child of the 80s and a love of 80s stuff. Like, this is not in my top 3 of 80s action flicks that I watch over and over and over again. So I still love it. I even love the cheesy dummies that they set up in the explosion scenes at the very end of the film that you can obviously tell they're dummies. The mansion.
You can see the shit holding them up and
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then they use the same mansion in Beverly Hills Cop for the shootout at the very end of the film.
Yeah,
that mansion in Beverly Hills. Yeah. So it's one of those films where like you see so much of this stuff everywhere else, but I don't know. It maybe because it was so early. Like there's just some other ones that do it a little bit better. So I'm going 4 you digs.
All right, very fair, very fair. What about you, Perry?
Well, I think it's only right to take another step down. I'm going to go with 3 you digs. Just because I don't see myself rewatching it and I wasn't that like hooked into it, but I really did like the effects. I liked bro, when his hand chopped off, the thing going, the lead pipe going through his chest. Like there was some really cool shots, you know. Like I even like seeing him row his boat. Like that was cool, dude. Like they flew a plane onto the water and then took a boat and started rowing. Like that's badass, dude. You know, so like I did like a lot of scenes like that. So I'm gonna go with a solid 3.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Brooks?
I'd give this one a 4. It's good. It's a good action movie, but it's very basic. It's not a thinking. It's not much for a thinking man.
That's right.
It's a very basic action movie, and the charisma of Arnold is what carries it more than anything. But it's still a damn fun watch, and like I would recommend it to anybody. Like if somebody told me like I've never seen Commando, I'd be like, you need to see Commando. Especially like if you're a Schwarzenegger fan like myself, I think it's like it should be required.
Yeah, because it gets swallowed up by some of those other films, right?
Yeah, like Arnold's done so much good stuff though, and this one seems like it's like A tier rather than S tier for me.
All right, for me, I'll give it a very enthusiastic 3.5, which we translate into a 3.69. I like the movie. I think it's got a great, frantic, fucking kinetic pace, but it is lacking story. It does kind of get swallowed up by movies around it, like Predator, like Terminator, that are maybe a little bit better. But it's fun. Yeah. It's enjoyable. I love it. So there you go. So a 5 from Jelani, a 4 from Jasmine, and a 4 from Brooks, a 3 from Perry, and a 3.69 from me, for a PCP average of 3.67. Jesus.
Is it?
Why?
That was weird.
Why do you do this?
3.7.
You don't do math here.
But we round that down to a 3.69, dude. Yeah, anyway. Just round that out and make it work. Let's take a look at the chat. Did I go back too far? Let's see. Our Ariaga says 4.5. Chill Out Man says 5 out of 5 you digs, bruh, is Commando. And someone help me sing the end credit song. Jelani, this should be on you. You should know.
No, not at all.
Bobby says 5 you digs.
Not memorize the ending song, Jelani?
No.
5
I remember one song though.
What's the end? What's the I was about to be like, what's the song of Bloodsport? Like, I'm fine to
so you remember the Bloodsport ending theme, but you don't remember this one?
Kumite.
I love that movie.
We got a 5 from Two Gun. We got a 4 from Perry. Bruh, it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. We don't need a storyline. Just give him a gun.
Exactly. Exactly.
He was in a movie where he didn't have Collateral Damage. That's what it was. Where he didn't have a gun at all. I guess, for the victims of 9/11, something like that. And yeah, that movie tanked because he didn't have a gun in it.
I mean, he even had a gun in Kindergarten Cop. Like,
Right.
Come on.
It's
He
not
had
a
a gun.
tumor.
He didn't have a gun in Jingle All the Way, though.
Did he not? I thought he was dressed as
He went full barehanded in that movie, dude. He fought all those Santa Clauses with his bare hands.
Not a single goddamn gun.
for a Turbo Man toy. Who knew?
All right, thank you all for joining us tonight for our look at Commando. And I said it was the penultimate episode of ActionFest 2022. The grand finale is next week. We're talking about all of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, y'all. We're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We're talking about Secret of the Ooze, Turtles in Time. We're talking about the animated TMNT film. We're talking about the Michael Bay produced ones from a few years ago. It's going to be dope.
Turtles
But before
is
that,
not technically called Turtles in Time.
you're right. Before that, we got Dylan's Horror Show on Saturday night. We're talking about the Mortuary Collection. It's an anthology horror film available on Shudder. But on Monday, join us for the finale of ActionFest with TMNT, the franchise review. Y'all, I'm so pumped for that.
Go Ninja, go Ninja, go.
I'm so ready.
I love all three of those, man.
I just want to go ahead and announce it. Special guest Vanilla Ice will be here next week.
Yeah!
Just kidding. He's
Ninja
not. He
rap.
canceled. He canceled. I tried to reach out to Vanilla Ice, and he just didn't have the time.
My apologies, Robbie.
Anyway, we're going to try to get Kevin Eastman on. We'll see what happens. Anyway, we're going to have a slam bang panel next week for TMNT, the finale of ActionFest. You know what the best part about ActionFest ending is? It means HorrorFest is very soon. Join us Sunday night on Rockin' Robbie Live for the official reveal of HorrorFest. We got a great lineup on PCP Movie Night and a great lineup on Dylan's Horror Show. It's going to be one of the most epic horror fests ever. All right, y'all. We appreciate y'all all being here. Jelani, thank you for being here. Final thoughts.
Yeah, man, I cannot wait for next week. It's just a great topper, except for the Michael Bay films. But, you know, I'm really having fun watching these films, and this was a good list, man. True Lies, and then we lead into Commando. Yeah, Schwarzenegger Gold. I'm just so glad we got to do this one together.
I'm going to tell you, ActionFest has been a bit inconsistent for me this year. You know what I'm saying? But next year, we're going to really fix that. I'll go ahead and make some announcements. Next year for ActionFest, we're doing the Beverly Hills Cop trilogy.
Yes.
And we're doing a double feature of Blade 1 and 2 because there is no third Blade film.
No, it doesn't exist.
We're just doing the double feature. So Blade 1 and 2 and Beverly Hills Cop 1, 2, and 3 next year for ActionFest. Jasmine, thank you for being here. I know Geeks Unleashed is on a hiatus, but you guys got a big milestone coming up. Why don't you tell us about it?
We are on hiatus. We're taking a summer break. Today is actually Mark's birthday. I'm going to be doing some traveling here pretty soon. And when we come back, it's going to be our 100th episode. We're super stoked about that.
Hell yeah. Super excited there. I have heard rumors that a certain pop culture philosopher whose name rhymes with Cock and Bobby. What?
Cock and Bobby.
Cock and Bobby.
We're making that thing.
I think I'm thinking of somebody else down there in the chat. But thank you for being here, Jasmine, and happy birthday, Mark. We appreciate it. Perry, final thoughts, brother.
Final thoughts. First off, congrats on the 100th episode. You know, that's always a grind. They should have died in that car crash in the beginning. I'm just saying. There was no chair there.
Well, but she said she died, and he was like, "No, you're fine."
I mean, Arnold's arm is like a seatbelt.
No seatbelts. No seatbelts.
From that point forward, and then he just lifts the car over. By the way.
The car's on the side. He's like,
he never gets hurt. He never gets captured. It's just so weird.
But yeah, no, thanks for having me on. This is awesome, dude, because I'm watching, movies that I would never otherwise watch. And I'm excited for TMNT next week because I love Ninja Turtles. The 2008 animated movie came out with a video game, and I was hooked. Like, that was like my movie that year. That game, flawless. I need to watch the Michael Bay films. But yeah, no, I'm going to watch them.
I'm going to be honest with you, man.
Monday.
Maybe you shouldn't, but I'm going to tell you something. I decided to start the TMNT movies with those ones, right? So that I would have those forward, because I love that 2008 one. Yeah. I really like Out from the Shadows or Out of the Shadows or whatever, the one with Bebop and Rocksteady. I really like that one. I'm just going to say. That one holds up for me. Brooks, thank you for being here. Any final thoughts, my man?
If you got to go Commando.
It's true.
We'll leave it with that. But join us Saturday for the Mortuary Collection on Dylan's Horror Show, and join us next week for TMNT, the franchise review. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. On behalf of everybody here, thank you for being here. Station, pop, pop, boom.